Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let's start with some news from the old monk. Do we have a photo? There you go. This is him. It's pretty warm over there compared to us. They're wearing t-shirts. Whereas I see that you are wearing winter clothes. Hey, how about that, huh? Why don't we, in the future, when it's too cold, move to Thailand or something, temporarily? This old monk here, what's his name? Phra Samray. Venerable Phra Samray has a lot of temples in northern Thailand. He's a big shot there. So we go there, we would have no problems finding a place to stay. Okay? Just only have to worry about bugs and mosquitoes and tarantulas and stuff like that. Okay, but look at him. It's warm, and he looks a little bit tired. Huh? Maybe he should not participate at so many events because he'll be there until December. And Venerable Phra Samray seems preoccupied to himself. Okay, so he's alive and well, I guess. Huh? Okay. Yeah. Low-level kung fus. That's all that interests me. Okay. Going back to Master YongHua's Chan instructional talks about Master Gung Te Kai. And before that, I like to clarify a little bit because I do not wish to mislead you. Last night I said I would do the 49-day for free for our people. Make it clear. I want to make it clear that I like to take care of our people, our followers. That's my primary objective of doing this work, is to take care of the people who have faith in the Dharma, have faith. So that's why we'll take care of them. In order for this particular new Dharma here, I think they should approach the abbot, and the abbot will be in a better position to judge whether they've been around and they've been participating in the assemblies, and then whether they have done acts of having faith in the Dharma. Okay, and then I will take the abbot's advices to do it. Okay, because we're extremely busy. I don't want to be inundated by people who are irresponsible and are taking advantage of us. They probably go to all the temples to do that. Okay, that's one. Also, in speaking of being busy, we're getting busy and busier, and luckily for us, more and more people are coming. Actually, more and more people are stepping up and helping out, so that we are able to do more. And I'm very grateful for that. So it came to my attention that I also need to be clear about the Sanghas who come to our temple. There are three kinds. Number one, they are visitors, meaning that they are welcome to show up and unannounced and so forth. And we will greet them because all way places belong to the Sangha of the 10 directions. And so traditionally, you can just show up at a temple and you'll be taken care of. They'll give you food and lodging. And times have changed because there are a lot more different types of Sangha nowadays. And so in the past, I did decline some monks and nuns who came unannounced because for safety reasons, we want to know who's staying overnight here at the temple because we don't want to take unnecessary exposure. Okay, so if the Sanghas are welcome, the visitors visiting Sanghas are welcome to come, but to stay overnight, that's need to be prearranged. Okay, let's make it clear. The second kind of Sangha is called Ichu, meaning that they are how can we say that? Seeking the Dharma. Okay, so we call it maybe like student of the way. Okay, seeking the Dharma. So the Dharma seekers. So Ichu. Ichu, from Chinese, it means I is to depend on. Depend on meaning depend on a roof, depend on the food, depend on protection, depending on instructions, and so forth. So yes, they can have those because they're not. It's our proud Buddhist tradition. You can go. It's called seeking good no advisor. You can go and seek for instruction from the teachers. And that's. We highly encourage that. That's why people who are even at our temple right now, and they can either look at themselves as visitor, it's not a problem because they are residents already, or they want to go further and say, I'm seeking a Dharma, then E is I depend on you, I need some support for my cultivation. That's to depend on. That's what we do for all the Sanghas as well at our temples. And Chu is at stopping. So they stopping here means that they are temporarily stopping. And actually it carries a second meaning, and most Sanghas, most Chinese don't understand when looking at the word Ichu. Actually, Ichu, another secondary meaning, is that you depend on the help in order to stop your thoughts, so that you become an arhat sooner. I bet you Chinese don't understand that. Okay, that's what's supposed to happen. The Ichu is not. We don't care that much. Since you're a beggar, you don't care that much about the roof and the food and the clothing and so forth, and the shoes and so forth. Okay, you're a true beggar, professional beggar like us. It should not weigh heavily on you. So the Ichu really means for those people that they need to depend on someone to stop their thoughts so that they can become enlightened. Is that clear? Okay. The Chinese didn't know that. Now they do. So that's an Ichu. So they are seekers of the Dharma, if you will. Okay. The first class is visitors. Number 2 is seekers of the Dharma. Okay. That's Ichu. And number 3, that is unlike number 2, where we treat them like guests, honored guests, and venerated guests, according to their Dharma age. We also have number 3, where actually some decided to take refuge with me, okay? And that's a different class, and they're called disciples. Meaning that now I feel free to abuse them. That's the only difference. Okay? Otherwise, you'll be taught according to according to the conditions. In particular for us, especially you, Sanghas who made it here, who are my disciples, it's my commitment to you that we'll take care of you until your final days, meaning you have nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about worldly things such as money, such as food, lodging, and so forth. So you simply live the pure life. In the future, we will have, I hope to have a big place in the mountain where we can be away from civilization, and you can lead a pure life and concentrate in your practice and develop your spiritual penetrations. Okay? And whereas, and the rest of us will be in the cities and supporting you, so that you don't have to worry about it either. Okay, so those Sanghas is my commitment to you, that I'm making sure that by the time I'm done, that you'll be secure. Your generation, third generation, will not have to worry about worldly things. Just concentrate in your spiritual life, okay, and hopefully become enlightened. Or if you're not enlightened, go to the Pure Land. Okay, that's it. So those are the three things, the three different types of Sanghas at our temples. You don't need to feel forced to become my disciple at all. Okay, all right. I want to make it clear because some Korean Sunims decided to become my disciples. I don't want the new ones who are coming to feel pressured into thinking that I would treat them any differently. That's all. I will train you according to the conditions, meaning that you have your own priorities. You're an eater, you're a seeker, then you have your own priorities, you have your own ideas in your practice. I will help you and teach you as much as you're able to absorb and benefit from it. Our emphasis, differently from other way places, is that our Dharma has special focus on certain teaching. So yes, certain teaching meaning that I will ask you to grind, okay, as well, but not the same way as the other temples, because their style of grinding, especially the cheese there and so forth, are designed for people who do not have good no advisors. For example, great Master Xu Yun was practically practicing on his own his entire life. Okay, so did Master YongHua, until Master YongHua brought the Dharma here and he taught us. So he also followed the Chinese tradition and taught them how to grind, but I find it to be too slow. Not efficient enough. I don't have a whole lot of time like the Chinese. So that's why we put a lot more emphasis on the certain teaching. So that's why you, monks and nuns, no matter how busy you are, you should listen to the sutra lectures, the Dharma talks, and so forth. Okay, if you can't, then, and actually it's better that you keep on listening to them as you're working as well, over and over again. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Okay, and you should have more and more questions as you improve. All right, so that means that if you need help to get those machines or whatever that you should, and that enables you to listen and re-listen to the lectures and the sutras and so forth, I advise you, as long as you hear that the temples okay? Follow our training program. Only listen to two kinds of teachers, Master YongHua or myself, okay? That's it. Now, the other teachers, you can listen to them after you enlighten. Okay? Any questions or comments? Did I leave out anything that I should have brought up? Yes? Is it clear? So please don't feel pressured that you have to become a disciple, otherwise I wouldn't teach you. I teach all of you, depending your according to your wishes. As a Sangha, you could be a visitor, could be a seeker, could be a disciple. It's all the same to me. Okay? It's up to you. Is it clear? I don't want you to tell the newcomers, hey, you better take refuge with Master, otherwise he won't teach you. It's not the case at all. Okay? A certain teaching means that you'll be progressing at your own speed. It's not the same for everyone. Okay? The grinding style of the Chinese is that because they don't have instruction, that's why they have to grind it out, which is a simulation of the Hinayana staying in the mountain or in the valley. Same year, that's what they do. They go there and they grind it out. Okay? And the difference is that in our Chan style, Chinese Chan style, when you grind it out in a great assembly, you receive help and protection. Okay? From other co-cultivators, like you, it will be the case in the Pure Land as well. You go to the Pure Land, which I highly recommend you do. You will be practicing in a great assembly as well. Okay? And so it's just like the Chinese style. However, the difference, that's my inspiration, is that you are constantly getting instructions from Amitabha Buddha as well, in so many different forms. In forms of music, in forms of birds, in forms of direct instructions from your co-cultivators, or from the Buddha, or from Wan Yin, or from Great Strength. So it's a fantastic place to cultivate. I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's why our style is similar. You also ask to grind, but we also provide you certain teaching, like in the Pure Land as well. And this is what's missing in a Chinese style. Okay, I find it to be disappointing. I was at my master's temple for 4 years, practicing 4 winter qis, and didn't make much progress. How disappointing. 4 years of my life. As an American, it's unacceptable. You don't waste my time. I don't waste your time. Time is all we have. All right. Now let's continue. So now, Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ thưa thầy, xin thầy dạy cho chúng con biết làm sao mà mình biết mình có tiến bộ, hay là phải chờ thầy nói thì mình mới biết. A Di Đà Phật.
Emitofuo Master, could you please kindly instruct us on how to recognize whether we are improved or not? Do we have to feel it ourselves, or have to wait until Master announce that we improve? Emitofuo.
Basically, you improve the things that you cannot fake. Is your energy level. Every time you improve, you have increased energy, and you can do more. You can think faster. Okay, you have increased stamina, and your head is clearer, and you're less afflicted. Those are the general signs of experience improvements. Okay? However, the reason I keep on stressing improvement because I'm disappointed with the Chinese style of training, because as an American trained and educated person, I find that it's too Chinese. Okay, we need to be more explicit and so forth, and that's why I call our style American style. Because we are more irreverent, we are more disrespectful, we demand proofs, and we are impatient. I mean, I am all those things. Okay, and so that's why I tell you that contrary to the Chinese culture and style, Asian style, they leave a lot of things unspoken. But to me, I'm disappointed at that. I spent 4.5 years of my life in my master's temple. The greatest teacher I found so far, alive, I have a chance to meet. I found that after 4 years, wasn't worth my while. Could have learned everything in maximum 6 months. So why would you want to waste my life like that? I wouldn't. If I say I was given the choice, you be here 4 years, and I say 4 years of my life, and this is all I'm getting, not good enough. Okay, I'm American. I'm not Asian. Yeah. All right. So I'm disappointed because I wasn't improving. Okay, that's why I'm teaching you, wherever you are, you should think of this concept of improvement. And so therefore, that's our role as a teacher, is to help you improve. That's what my master did. Master YongHua did something so important that none of his disciples realized it. And he laid the foundation. Without the foundation, you cannot improve in the right direction, and you cannot get very far. For example, Wung De Kai is a primary example. Okay, he's a good and sincere monk from India, and he has great aspirations. He wanted to propagate Mahayana and so forth. However, he didn't have the proper foundation, and that's why when he went to China and the emperor talked to him and offered him things, he was tempted because his foundation is too weak. If your foundation was strong, you would not be tempted. And that's what you don't realize, what Master YongHua did for us, for American Mahayana, for our Mahayana here. A lot more important than he did in China. You know that? When he came here, he started teaching, he says, the 3 doctrines. I'm not afraid to freeze to death. I'm hungry, but I will not beg for food. I'm poor. I'm willing to die from poverty. That's our doctrines. That's our foundation. It's not the 6 principles like his disciples. It's not the real foundation. The real foundation, his genius, are those 3 doctrines. If you have those, Gung De Kai would not be tripped by the emperor. He was bedazzled by the power and the glory and the splendor of the empire. China was a lot richer than India back then. And so, Master YongHua did for us is so important. The foundation is priceless. Because you see, I was telling my disciples the first night when we, Monday night after we done, I said, Gung Te Kai is a good monk, a great monk. But because he was stripped by the emperor, and he accepted the temple, whatever the temple name is, that's it. His cultivation is over. Everything we ask you to do, I ask you to do, is all designed to help you improve, not to make me richer or more famous. At all. That's not important. Okay? And so if Gung Te Kai, by receiving the temple and by helping a lot of people, he thinks it's a good thing. To me, it's not a good thing. To me, I'd rather he continues to improve because Mahayana is in you. It's a sad example, personally, of what a monk's supposed to do. And because of that, whatever Dharma he touched and left behind, okay, is basically Hinayana, Mahayana. It's not good enough. All right? So that's why Master YongHua is a wonderful and great teacher. He left his foundation that is far better than his predecessors by far, much better. Okay, except for like the greater ones like six-page chart and so forth. But so you should be grateful of what he did here for our country. He laid a foundation for us. Without that foundation, it's very difficult to build upon. Without foundation, you're going to have problems with Gung Te Kai. Reach a level where you're going to be tripped and your cultivation is over. Is there a question? Okay, yeah.
From Vicky, Master, if I may ask, since you were unable to make any headway at CTTB, how did you keep going?
Because I refuse to fail. I have my weakness is that I hate failures. I'd rather die than fail. That's doctrine number 4. Well, I can't teach you. I'm too proud of a man to accept failure, especially when people laugh at me. And those disciples, his laugh at me and say, "You are a loser." I said, "Okay, I prove to you I'm no loser. I ain't gonna need you. I'm gonna be better than you. And after I'm better than you, I will teach my disciples so that my disciples are much better than you." So, you challenged me. I'm bipolar. If you provoke me, my manic side goes crazy and say, I'd rather die than lose to you. That's what happened. So it just happened. It was not intentional. I just I'm crazy. That's all. So not until relics came that the Buddha tamed me. Otherwise, I was actually pretty angry. How dare you? So my purpose back then, being bipolar, being manic, I'm talking about, kid? Huh? He said, "You provoke me, I will fight you to death." You die or I die. And luckily for me, the Buddha's relics came. I said, wow, I have a new purpose in life. Serve the Buddha. No longer serving myself, making a point. Yes, 8.
From Brady, Master, what do you mean by our cultivation is over?
Meaning that he can no longer make progress. Cultivation, when you cultivate, okay, if you have the great foundation like Master YongHua laid out for us, it's a lot easier to make progress. Okay, so part of my job in training you is make sure that you build a solid foundation. Okay, and then do the certain teaching. The certain teaching requires a solid foundation. Without a solid foundation, certain teaching would not work. You get tripped all the time. Okay, my belief, personal belief, is that you cultivate, and so I tell all of you to keep one thing in mind: improve. Are you improving? Okay, and how do you know? The question, going back to the question, how do you know? I told you those few tips that we find out. But in general, you should not be demanding I need to improve, okay? Because my instruction was meant to remind you that your path, your cultivation should be based upon, geared upon improvement, okay? Don't be content. To me, the Chinese are actually brainwashed. They follow the proud tradition, including the Koreans. They're brainwashed. You guys are too rigid. You're too conservative and you follow things. That's fine. But the true Mahayana teaching is that you are always looking for a good knowing advisor. This is why we have the 3 classes of left home people: visitor, seekers, and disciples. Because that's how we encourage people to keep on looking for good knowing advisors. Okay, you never stop. Master YongHua's mistake of his disciple is that they stopped. They said, I found a great teacher in Master YongHua. That's good enough. After he dies, you're entitled to look for another one. And those idiots don't even realize that. It's Master YongHua's failure, in my humble opinion. I stress to you, okay, while I'm alive, you're perfectly welcome to look for a better teacher. That's Mahayana. Okay? If you feel at some point in time you're not improving, say, I'm moving on. Okay? But on the other hand, you should not be obsessed about it. You should improve, but you should not be obsessed, because improvement sometimes is different for different people. Some of my disciples take longer because they have much more, they have more problems. The base, the foundation is not that strong. I can't touch that foundation yet. So I need time. Okay? For example, when you come to me, when I teach you, I talk to you, and you don't want me to know certain things about you, I will not know certain things about you. You want to hide things like your jealousy, like your envy, like your... Do I sound, hey, Catholic, do I sound Catholic now? See, that's why you're here. Do not be envious. Do not be jealous. Huh? And if you don't want me to know certain things, I will not go there. Okay? But I wait for the right time to remind you those are what those are the things that are stopping you from making progress. You don't want me to touch it? I won't. But I'm waiting, I'm patiently waiting for the chance to help you overcome it. Okay? Yes, 8.
From Goat Forest Daniel, Master, where does loyalty fall into when it comes to looking for a better teacher? Isn't that against never leaving your good knowing advisor?
Well, there is always pros and cons. If you're stupid, then you cannot tell the difference, can you? Then if you feel you're limited, then place your faith in a good no advisor. Meaning that you hope, you pray to God that you have a decent good no advisor who will take good care of you, will not abuse you. Okay? And that's the way it is. That's all you got. Or you could pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I would pray to Amitabha Buddha if I'm looking for a Pure Land teacher. I would pray for the Sixth Patriarch. I would pray for Master YongHua if I were looking for a Chan person or and so forth. If you are more into tantras, I would pray to Master YongHua. Master YongHua is an expert, a specialist in mantras. Okay, more so than Chan even. Okay, but he's not a specialist in Pure Land. Anyway, and so you know limited. Then it's much more important for you to be loyal to your good no advisor, because eventually that loyalty will pay off. Because a good knowing advisor will recognize it and say, this person here is for the long haul, therefore I can take my time with this person. Whereas some people are too smart, too impatient, they are disloyal. And that's a big flaw. I hate to say it, but in order to be trained, you have to pass a lot of loyalty tests. This is what these losers fail. They fail the tests of loyalty. Okay, so there's a Daniel, you're right. If you are not a loyal person, then why you cannot go very far. But if you're a loyal person and you follow a stupid teacher, then that's what the Buddha had to do. The Buddha went to the first two teachers, they're externalists, and he realized after a while that he's just as good as they are. Actually, his solutions, when people came to him, are better than the solution for his teachers. That's when you know for sure that you should move on. Okay? And if you're not sure, then pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, because it turns out that I used to advocate this. I used to advocate that the fruits will not fall very far from the trees. It's not true. I realize now Mahayana is so vast. Okay, the patriarch does have a certain responsibilities. For example, this second one here is said that to my disciples privately, and I want to commend for that guy, that he, among Master Hsing Hua disciples, he's number one in my mind about observing the three doctrines. He will not be, he's incorruptible. And that to me is so remarkable. That's the foundation. Okay? That's why I now understand why he was chosen. Because of all his disciples, he's the most incorruptible as far as the three principles are concerned. So the three principles became part of his nature, not just talk. He has a lot of flaws, he has a lot of shortcomings, but that foundation is there. So that's why he's a patriarch. It's so commendable. The rest, I'm not impressed. I'm too American. Okay? So that's why Daniel's right. If you're not sure, if you don't feel that you can understand, then stick to loyalty first. But that's a first test. Eventually, when you realize that your good no advisor is not helping you after 10 years, to me that's too long. Master Z, for example, he's an example of our case where he's so fast. In 5 years, he surpassed all Master Hsing Hua's disciples. That's how fast he is. It's a rare gem. And it happened in Korea, not in the United States. You see, it tells you how special Korea is. It's sagely ground, folks. And when he did that, then you Koreans should be so grateful to him, because he brought with him all the good things that come from a place that harbors such a being. How do I keep on digressing. Did I answer any questions? Okay, so loyalty. Personally, I put you through a lot of loyalty tests. Okay, so Daniel is right. And so you pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and you accrue interest, you accrue blessings by helping your good no advisor. This is what makes me very proud of all of you. You are stepping up. You believe. Because once you receive the benefits, you're generous enough in your heart to be willing to share it, to make it available to others. And that's a Mahayana heart that I like. Okay, that's why I like Gung Te Kai as well. He's trying to help in his best abilities. Unfortunately for him, wrong foundation. That's my problem with him. Okay, so going back to slide 34, they check on him, wondering why he didn't eat. His disciple cared for him, and they realized the attendant realized he passed away. Okay, and to me, when I look about the Sutra here, I find that Buddhism is very cruel. They don't allow their monks to retire. They assign a Sutra, an attendant, to make sure they squeeze the last juices out of him, because he can't, do physical things anymore. So they send a Sutra. Okay, to bring him, a bowl of water to wash his face, tea to drink. That's what I see, an old man who shaking. And then the shooter, Master, don't, let me do it, but don't die yet. See that? And so it makes me chuckle. The Chuka, because everything he does, they watch him constantly. So he said, he didn't eat today, he didn't eat much, and he went back to his room. Let's go to his room and check on him. That's a shooter's job, to spy on him. Okay? And then he found out that, hey, he passed away already. And of course, when you cultivate, naturally, you're going to have some miracles, as the Catholics like to call it. Where in Buddhism, there's so many miracles, so abundant everywhere, from everyone. And he could sit for a long time, okay? People seem to be impressed by that. I didn't eat lunch. And the novice went to the room to check, and because he didn't come out for lunch, and the room was filled with blue lotus flowers, and there's a lion there at the entrance, so he's guarded by these Dharma protectors, and the Dharma protectors felt it's important to manifest as a lion to scare the novice, and so he screamed. Okay, he obliged, he screamed, but they couldn't see anything. So quite often, so when he cultivates, there's always Dharma protectors around, and they choose to manifest as a lion to scare some of them. At age 65, he died at age 65, which is actually pretty old age back then. And he wrote an article containing 36 verses. This is when you frown a little, because he still sees himself cultivating. He still sees himself cultivating. And that's why he says, my cultivation is important. Let me tell you what I did. I did. So he hasn't gone beyond cultivation yet. And that's why in the Chinese folklore, the Chinese scriptures, they threw it out very quickly, all these verses, how he described the Course's entire life, how he cultivated entire life. This tells me that he has not even reached fourth stage Arhat yet. He still sees himself, a person cultivating. Obvious to you. And what did he cultivate? He cultivated the contemplation of the impurity, where what happens to you after your body, after you die, what happened to your body. And that's a very effective Hinayana practice that will help you reach fourth stage Arhat. Okay? And he did that. I'm wonder, because never got a chance to ask. Would you girls like to do this? I rest my case. This is why I don't teach it, because most of my disciples are girls. The men are too smart. Okay, girls don't like to contemplate what happens to their corpse after they die. Okay, so it's not for us. Yes, sir. Number 3.
Thank you, Master. When we first went through this slide a few days back, as a guy, I was like, what? Like, is this, it just seems kind of like a bizarre thing to focus on, to cultivate? Is this a common practice, or is this like a fringe thing?
Actually, quite common because it's a quite clever method from the Buddha to help us reduce our sexual desires. The sexual desire is what drives the ego. Okay, the foundation of the ego is sexual desire. So you do this, you really switch it off pretty quickly. If you're good at imagination.
So if I say that back to you, right? If you want to reduce your sexual desires, then contemplate a decomposing corpse.
Yeah. That's one very effective way.
How do you facilitate that?
You find the corpse disgusting.
No. I'll find the corpse disgusting. I have no doubt, but just the facilitation of spending time with a decomposing corpse, is that?
Well, it's fairly described with great details. It's well described. The method is pretty effective, and is well documented, thanks to the Hinayana teachers. The Hinayana have a few major practices. This is one of them. The contemplation of the impure is very, very effective for especially the people who have strong sexual desires. Okay, I think that's what Fra Samurai's teacher was taught him. That monk, Thai monk, he's a hotshot in northern Thailand. When he first came to his teacher a long, long time ago, he told me that by tradition, the Thai people had to go to the temple for 2 years before they get married. Okay, and so he did that. And after 2 years, his teachers, his shifu says, "Your sexual desire is so high." And so you better be a monk because you're going to be miserable. And he believed that, so he became a monk. And I think this is one of the things that he was taught, to contemplate the impurities of the body.
Okay, forgive me, Master. I have questions. So, and we were talking about a good Buddhist death yesterday as well. So my understanding is that following your death as a Buddhist, it is preferable to be cremated.
Yes.
So am I correct?
Yes, for the monks, not for everyone.
Okay, so that was my question. Is this the kind of thing that, like on your driver's license, you can say, parts donator? You could be like, I'm a corpse donator for someone to contemplate my decomposing corpse?
Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. For monks, we like to cremate them, but for lay people, depending on the cultural traditions, most people don't get cremated. Okay.
Because I'm just looking to maximize, my potential here, and so if I could generate blessings with my decomposing corpse to help someone, I just figured there's no better time than now to ask.
Yeah, that's a good time to create more blessings after you die as well, yes. Good thinking. I haven't thought of that. To me, after I die, I'm done. I'm out of here, free at last. So what they do, the Hinayana people, they have that contemplation of the impure, okay, and that your body decomposing after you die. They also practice the 4 stations of mindfulness, the 4 noble truths, and they also have this thing called metta, whatever, and I couldn't figure out why on earth they would practice it. To me, it's a lot of nonsense. They contemplate, I send thoughts of love towards my enemy, like my ex-wife. Duh. So the last person I want to think of is my ex-wife. I don't know about you. It's called ex-wife for a reason. You want to get her out of your mind. Anyway, so it's weird to me. Yeah. But then it seems to work for them. I doubt it, but anyway. It sounds good to the Catholics who are so impressed by love and so forth. But I'm not impressed. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. Can Chan meditation possibly cure autism or highly functioning autism if the individual practices hard enough?
If you ask me personally, yes. But it's going to be hard. But it's possible. Okay? I feel that the Chan technology is capable of fixing that problem. Go ahead, conk. But you better off becoming a monk because it's very intensive.
Hello. Master, I have a question in the earlier slide. It's on the slide 36. So in Korea, when a monk passed away, they use the expression of to enter stillness. So when a s님 passes away, they just typically say, this monk has entered the stillness. And then in this slide, it says this Dharma master entered perfect stillness. And then you said you feel he's not even a 4th stage Ara. So this is just an expression, or he has the ability to enter perfect stillness?
It's a polite expression, I feel. The yuan ji there, yuan is perfection, ji is stillness. So he perfected stillness. You don't say enter perfect stillness. But that's American. It's okay. The Americans don't know any better. It makes no difference. But you perfected stillness. Should be the English expression for future reference. So it is ji there refers to nirvana. Okay, and so you perfected nirvana, and you perfected stillness. It means you enter nirvana, which is a polite expression. For Gung Te Kai, he cannot enter nirvana. The best he could do was go to given the circumstances, go up to the heavens. That's it. He didn't have the Pure Land Dharma door available to him in order for him to make it to the Pure Land, because he's not capable of getting there. He doesn't have the ability or the technology to get there. All right? So, yes, basically it's a polite expression. When you say it in polite company, in reverence to the great sacrifices he made for his entire life as a monk, he made a lot of sacrifices. So that's why it's polite to say yuanji. He perfected stillness, and stillness with a capital, okay, S. But for us people we know that it's not the case for this guy in particular. Okay, going back to where we were. 36 verses, nonsense, don't bother, okay? His entire life, he called it course contemplation, and see how it rots, okay? Because of so many women here, we're going to go through this very quickly. Turn blue, lots of insect coming out of your body and so forth, and eventually become a pile of bone left, okay? And so by contemplating a dead corpse, he understood. You see, understood what? No matter how beautiful a woman or handsome a man is, upon death, the corpse is just the same. Okay, it's an ugly, ugly thing. What's there to be attached to? Okay, and this, you know why it's funny? I find it funny because he's had a lot of hippies and pale-faced disciples, Master YongHua back then. The Asian, the yellow faces, they avoid him. They say, you're not Chinese enough. You're not authentic Chinese monk. You don't have a real Chinese temple. So most of his disciples back then were basically pale faces. Okay, yeah, and so that's why he had to stress this. So at first I was surprised he talked about Gung Te Kai. Actually, Gung Te Kai, to me, my guess is that the real reason for him to bring up Gung Te Kai during the Chanchi is for his pale-faced participants. He's very subtle. Yes, sir, 3.
Thank you, Master. So I don't know that disagreeing is the right way to respond to his observation, but I feel like it is incorrect. And the reason I say that is because of relics, and why I was so interested in this contemplation, because the relics of sages is what's left over when their bodies are cremated. So that means all corpses are not the same.
This is you're contemplating your own corpse, not the sage's corpse. Especially, let me be blunt with you. Let's say you're attached to a woman's body, like many pale-faced men are. Yes? Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. Who is it nowadays? Machine Gun Kelly. I don't know. Or a black dude. I don't know. Okay. I happen to hate rap music. For me, Beethoven's handsome. Okay, that bushy hair. So that's what's meant to do. When you learn about this, it's not you contemplate the sages, you contemplate the person you are attracted to. And that will help you reduce your desire. Okay? And he understood. So he could keep on contemplating, how his girlfriend would body would decompose, how attractive and irresistible she is right now, but as soon as she dies, okay, even before that, when she ages, the many wrinkles and so forth. Okay, so he understood. The corpse is the same, and what's there to attach to? So he contemplated over and over again that it has. It's very clever. You do that. It's very specific. It's not theory. Okay, you have to use upon a person you attach to. This is what's not clear in the instructions of those things, of the method. And he obtained great self-mastery. Well, no, okay. But yeah, the Chinese are polite, great self-mastery. Baloney. His level is not, his level cannot be called mastery, let alone great self-mastery. Okay, but anyway, we let Master YongHua give him the leeway and obtain great bliss. Yes, it's quite blissful. Sitting Chan, he didn't know how great it would be, and he obtained great bliss, obtaining great peace, and the first fruition. I hardly would call first fruition great self-mastery. I would hardly call it great bliss. I would hardly call it great peace. Okay? But remember, to you, okay? So I don't want you to misunderstand this. He said all these for those pale-faced people, not for you. Okay? The teaching has to be directed at the audience. This is why, great self-mastery. No. Great bliss. No, not for us. Okay? Your level is way beyond that. Okay? And so attain the first fruition. First stage arhatship is hardly called great self-mastery. You have a little bit self-control. It feels good, yes. And it feels peaceful, but great is exaggeration. No way. I would never put great here based on what you all first stage arhat experience. So don't doubt me when I told you you've got the first stage arhat. You say, how come I didn't have experienced any great self-mastery, great bliss, great peace? It's for pale-faced people. Okay. First fruition, and he continued to cultivate, and many people came to make offerings to him. How on earth did they find out? Bothers me. No one else is supposed to know. Okay? But somehow, people found out. Okay? Not a good thing for him. And made offerings and so forth. Everyone fought to make offerings. Okay? He became very disgusted. He's a pure man, too much trouble. Therefore, he ran away from civilization. Okay? Cultivated and attained the second fruition. Okay? And in somewhere in India, he had to go to the mountain, the countryside, to reach second stage arhat. Okay? And that place was quiet and secluded, and later he came to China to propagate Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism. Okay. Well, remains to be seen what is Mahayana. The interesting thing to me is that he ran away. And when he attained first stage arhat, and people came and clamored and tried to plant blessings with him, he ran away and said, "You guys too much trouble." And then he went to second stage arhat. Okay, and didn't say how long, but probably took quite a while. And then he went to China, and the emperor offered him stuff for him to stay in the city, and he stayed in the city. So he flip-flopped. And it's again, that's not very good, because he didn't have that much wisdom to, at the first place, to be able to teach people. Second stage arhat really don't know anything. Actually, fourth stage arhats don't know diddly squat. I listen to many fourth stage arhats speaking the Dharma. It's nonsense. Okay? So nowadays, so many of you here and at our branch temples are on the verge of getting the first stage, or are already at first stage. It's too many of you, okay, that you have to understand that the objective is for you to continue to make progress. Don't get a big head. It's nothing yet. It turns out that if you do not quit and hang in there, almost all of you will make it the third stage arhat. It's not that hard to get the third stage. Once you get the first stage, it's quite easy to get the third. How quickly depends on a lot of factors, but it's quite easy in my mind. The fourth is more difficult. Okay, and so what does it take to get the first stage? First stage is that you have to resolve your view delusions. Master YongHua talked about it extensively. You can listen to his talks. So his view delusions are what's holding you back. And when you look at what his talk, how he explained the view delusion and so forth, he said, you see that you got there, but we didn't have to emphasize the view delusions, because his is more laying the foundations again. Okay, our style, American style, is more of expedience, of the certain teaching. He's the foundation, but we are more expedience. Okay, more certain teaching. His is more gradual, ours more certain. Okay, so you eventually understand. That's why you still need to listen to his teachings to verify for yourself that when I tell you first stage arhat, that means that at moments you're able to be free from your view delusions. Okay. And when this guy certified to second stage arhat, he began to sever some of the thought delusions. Okay, and some of the thoughts, and that's why if you continue, or if he had continued instead of falling prey to the emperor's temptations, he would have made it to third stage arhat, because once you had sever some of the thought delusions, you naturally will sever the rest of the thought delusions. Okay, and that's what happened now. So anyway, after propagating some time, we are now on slide 59. His causing conditions ended, so left on his own. See, so he helped people, but again, to me personally, prematurely. Just the same thing. I feel the second patriarch is helping people prematurely as well. He's not ready yet. The Dharma master is coming and going like freely. There's true freedom. Okay, again, this is geared towards the Caucasian disciples, students back then. He casually eating and just left on his own. Yes, these people have that ability. They can they have a certain amount of control over when they can die, left and went to cross his legs, okay? And he perfected stillness as a polite expression. He went to the heavens, basically. He knew what day he would die in advance, and his state was inconceivable. Okay. And they would cremate him after he died, as per the Buddhist tradition. And they revered him, so they used sandalwood, which is very rare, very fragrant, very expensive. I'm sure even back then. And they saw smoke, and then there's some flames of lotus flowers, and a dragon flew into empty space. All those are important for Buddhism back then. They had to show these manifestations in order to generate faith in the Chinese. Okay? But that's kind of coarse faith to me. Yes, too.
I said about thầy, is second stage of Arhat, do they really know the day that you die?
Yeah, they can. You don't need to have it to go to second stage to know. But the second stage, at his skill level, I imagine he's able to decide to stop breathing himself.
Thank you, thầy.
And they were translated by this Dharma master. Okay, for the second stage Arhat, they are decent translators, so therefore it's good for those of you who aspire to translate sutras. Make sure you're at least second stage Arhat. I prefer you become enlightened, because we have higher standards for English sutra translations. And too many translations fall short of conveying the depth of Mahayana teachings. And particularly you Koreans, if you want to translate our American Mahayana back to Korean, you find that as with your translation right now is helping, but eventually when you get higher, you revisit your translation, you find out that they have holes. Okay? But that's okay. And great merit and virtue. Okay, he's teaching, Master Hsien is teaching his disciples here. So he's brainwashing them and said, what you do in order for you to do in America, United States, or wherever you are, is to help propagate Mahayana, which is one of a surefire way to generate great blessings. It's very important to choose which Dharma you're propagating. That's why I keep on reminding you. With all due respect to the other great patriarchs, I feel they're not as great as Master Hsien. That's why, since we Americans in this Dharma ending age, limited in resources in time, that's why I told you, concentrate on Master Hsien's Dharma. It's worth a lot more blessings for you. Okay? That's those of us studying the Buddha now learn from Eminent Monk. Okay, so this is what he did. He says, in order for you to learn the Mahayana, to learn the spiritual way, you should find a great teacher and imitate him. Okay, what here in English we call a role model. Okay, and to me this is one very important lesson. I base my work on Master YongHua as a role model because I saw it. I saw him and saw what he did. So he really one of my inspirations. Okay, so back then that's all they have. So that's why the Chinese were inspired by this eminent monk. It's the best they have back then. Okay. Learn to cultivate, imitate him. Okay, until you surpass him, then it's okay to imitate him. Don't be lazy. You must be diligent and vigorous. This is what happens to be when that's what you're supposed to do. During a chant, you're supposed to be diligent and vigorous. Okay? What's diligent? Meaning that depends on which Dharma door you do. If you meditate, then follow the schedule. Okay? Don't think so much. Follow the schedule. Try your best to follow the schedule. Don't pick and choose. Follow until you can't. Then go get some rest and come back and continue. You're too stupid. You don't know why we're doing this. The simple truth is that you don't have wisdom. That's why you're better off following the schedule. Number two, if you have the Dharma door, okay, and your Dharma door is that exempt you from following the schedule, because, for example, you're fasting, and then you don't have the energy, you can't possibly follow the schedule. It's not possible, okay? And then your Dharma door then becomes to endure. And that's called diligence, that's called vigorous. You endure until you're exhausted, and you endure some more. That's all. You endure the suffering. That's all. You're supposed to suffer. Okay? If you cannot get in full lotus, because full lotus is too painful for you, okay? Another alternative is to fast, because the pain is even more painful in full lotus. Okay? But at least you don't have to sit in full lotus. It hurts. I've been there. Trust me. It hurts like hell. You want to die, but you can't. It's one of the worst things in life is that you want to die, but you can't. I experienced that during fasting. I experienced that while I was very, very sick as well. He says, "Can I just die, man?" Yeah, you can't. We want to continue to torture you. Okay, should end birth and death sooner. Should apply effort and cultivate. Are we back to where we're supposed to be? Any questions or comments? Okay, 73. And lay people too, left from people, is to cultivate patience. Okay, again, he's telling them about these principles. Okay, we don't talk about it. We just make you do it. That's all. Okay, so you see again, when after you get there, and then you look back and say, "Oh," that's why we still listen to him, because even when you get there, this is for a different audience. It's for pale-faced people, okay, beginners. But you pass that, but you look back and you understand why, okay, why it was taught to certain people, and then you understand how you got there, okay. Because you have to practice patience yourself. That's how you got to the first stage, to the first place. Yes, 5.
Master, was this when Master YongHua taught at the Gold Mountain Monastery in San Francisco?
Yeah, probably during that time. Even before Gold Mountain, he has this rickety, shoddy building that, he made his own statues. Yuck. You see his statues, the city, 10,000 Buddhas he made. They have like 10,000 Buddha statues. And some of them he made by himself, and he put his own hair there. Thing. I look at the statues, ew. With all due respect, I mean, geez, you're not an artist. Let the artist, make a living. So, anyway, I hardly call that hall, that cultural hall, uninspiring for me. Anyway, yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. What's the difference between ending birth and death and turning the Dharma wheel?
I'm sorry?
What is the difference between ending birth and death and turning the Dharma wheel?
Ending birth and death is you. You should end birth and death. We all should try to end birth and death. Meaning that is the true happiness that the non-Buddhists don't know about. Until you get that stage where you end birth and death, you'll never experience happiness. Never. It's hard to tell the non-Buddhists that their approaches will result in misery. That's all they're doing. They're creating misery for themselves. And that's why the Buddha is very wise. He says, very compassionate. He says, all this mess here, all that matters for you, all you have to remember is to end birth and death. That's the key. You have to go, whatever you do, whether you recite the Buddha's name, whether you meditate, you recite mantras, you recite sutras, you bow to Buddhas, it all has one goal. It leads to you ending birth and death. And along the way, that's why I keep on stressing to you, along the way, as long as you continue to improve, okay, you feel better and better and better and better, happier and happier and happier and happier. It happens naturally. Don't settle for the status quo. Okay? That's the difference between the American Dharma versus the Chinese Dharma. Chinese Dharma, I'm great. The American Dharma is, no, you're not. You're nothing. Look around you. There's people, so many people, infinitely better than you. You just can't see it. That's how stupid you are. Nothing to be proud of. I tell you this, if I invite people to come speak Dharma to you, none of them would come. Only stupid people would come here to try to get money out of you. The one who has wisdom would not dare come because look at you and say, I speak Dharma to you? No way. You poor, first of all, and you scary. It's the worst combinations possible for Buddhist disciples. Poor and scary. Poor and have samadhi power. Q&A.
Thank you, Sifu. I just want to share a comment that you have been advising us that with children, when you drive in the car, let them listen to your Dharma talk. I have tried that while I'm driving my children. I realized that with the long one that we have, the normal lecture, they are not engaged, but the one that really get them involved is and actively listen is the Dharma Glim. And like every time I turn that on, my son and my daughter would ask questions, and then we have, they truly enjoying it. Yes. Yeah, for the teenage. Yes. Thank you.
Good job, Peter. That's Peter's invention. Thank you for the feedback. We appreciate it. I'm glad. Okay, we have to continue to produce more Dharma glimpses. And in fact, you should do more of that in more and more of the Dharma glimpses, because you have tons of Dharma that's more Americanized than the Chinese style. And it should be, and it's a lot of work, and we appreciate you putting the time into it. It's tremendous amount of work. The video editing is very time-consuming and totally underappreciated. This is this level of pride of the kind of clip you're producing that's makes them put so much efforts into it. Okay, our people have very high standards. So we're hoping that more and more of you, especially those you who have, I said, like you in the range of arhats and so forth. Okay, first stage arhats and up and so forth, or along that range where you're almost there and so forth. You should consider doing Dharma glimpses. Okay, we have a lot of very American style way of explaining the Dharma. And it would be good for your children. The children are not interested in the big words and the jargons. They would be bored to death. Okay? And so we need to do video clips, and we also need translations as well. It's my personal hope is that we will be able to translate my Dharma, my teachings, back into Chinese. That's how I repay the Chinese kindness, my Chinese teachers, the patriarchs, not just Master YongHua, but the other patriarchs, the other great teachers, as well as not as great teachers. I learn a lot from them. Okay, I'm trying to save you time. I went through so many. Xu Yun comes to mind. Tzu Hang came to mind. Tzu Hang is in Taiwan. He's a 7th ground Bodhisattva. Xu Yun is 8th ground Bodhisattva. And Master YongHua is much higher, of course, and so forth. So we are grateful. I'm very grateful for all those Chinese teachers. They're very inspirational. They're inspiring. And so I hope to bring back to them, especially the young ones now, the young Chinese, they don't get it anymore. Okay? And so the Dharma glimpse would be a great way to reconnect them with their tremendous and priceless heritage that they're turning their back on. Okay? It's unfortunate. They're abandoning, forsaking their real treasure in humanity and chasing after the Westerners' pursuit of unhappiness. It's weird. We Americans we're entitled to pursue the happiness, but we are entitled to pursue unhappiness. Okay. So I'm grateful to the Chinese, especially the Taiwanese, for supporting my cultivation as well. A lot of my early materials were from the Taiwanese. I'm very grateful for that. This clothes is from Taiwan as well, 20 years ago. I still wear them. And Korean has a strong tradition. I think we need to bring Korean Buddhism to the next level. Okay, I have a lot of excellent Korean disciples who had been my disciples before as well. So yes, 8.
From Trin, my son is mostly turned on by the jokes Master cracks during Dharma talks, in addition to the Dharmas, of course.
Cracks? What cracks? I'm and so those are the two major groups I feel we need to invest more in the future. Of course, I am also grateful to the Vietnamese as well. I'm here today being a Dharma master because of the generosity and compassion from my Vietnamese master who allowed me to become fully ordained. And that's why I spent 4 years of my life with my own money to pay for a TV show in Los Angeles. I paid with my own money to repay my master's kindness. And now I paid up, I'm free. Meaning that now I leave it to my Vietnamese disciples to take care of their own. And I actually am very pleased that many of the Vietnamese disciples are stepping up. Okay? Like the old monk who's agreed to be the abbot of DTT in San Francisco. And I told him, your mission is to help propagate Pure Land Buddhism, especially to your Vietnamese. So you figure out a way, okay? All right. I'm not good because I'm not really a Vietnamese, to be honest with you. I don't know much about Vietnamese culture. Went to a French high school, spent most of my life here. So what do I know about Vietnam? Okay. Anyway, and I see that my Vietnamese disciples are taking care of the Vietnamese, and makes me very happy. Okay, and has always been my dream, was to train you and bring you to good levels where you go back and train your own people in your own language. Okay. All right. So I saw some people with great potentials. All right. Okay. And so, for example, recently, one of my disciples, who is Korean, was asked by her master to go back to Korea, and she says, so she asked me for advice. I said no, and so she talked to her master, and she says, I cannot go back. I'm sorry. He says, why not? He says, because I'm afraid I cannot come back once I go back to Korea. Okay? And let me simplify it for you. As long as you are a disciple, then you follow the instructions, my instructions. It's that simple. Your master, you are loyal to your master, I understand that, but you are now my disciple, and the simple thing to do is to follow instructions so that you can continue to make progress. That's the main thing. All right? Once you have the level, look at this guy here. He's only second stage arhat, and people, when they heard of him, they came and offered him, and temples and money and food and everything. See, second stage arhat. Come on. Meaning he has the blessings to receive them. Okay? So our style is we train people first, and then when they're supposed to work, then the Dharma protector will step up and help them propagate. Contrary to the model of the monks and nuns now, who have great aspirations, that I want to become a monk in order to translate sutras, to propagate the Dharma, to teach meditation and so forth, like Thích Nhất Hạnh, like Dalai Lama, like a lot of monks and nuns have great aspirations, Xing Yu and so forth. They are good monks, but they don't have enough skills yet. And that's why they're just like Gung Te Kai. Eventually, their teaching will die. They will not become part of the Buddhist treasure that the Chinese had. Like Master YongHua will be part of our English language treasure, but not the others. For example, it's because they taught prematurely. Okay? All right, it's 9 o'clock. We stop here tonight unless you have questions. No questions? If you ask no questions, it used to be the case when I say that, people would raise their hands and say, Master, I have a question, so that they don't have to go back to meditation. Now, no one does it because you're not meditating anymore. Okay. One question here from a person who does not meditate. Yes, 9.
For some reason, since I talk about the dead, contemplating the dead person, has bothered me for whatever reason. How could someone meditate by looking at a dead person or imagining themselves dead? I just, for some reason, I cannot compute that, or I find it very difficult to understand that.
Yes, I understand why it's difficult for you. It's difficult for you, sir, is because you don't believe in it. And your question is intellectual by nature, but actually the premise of the question is that you don't believe it. That's why you don't think it's going to work. So you find an excuse, and you trying to find holes in my argument. This Dharma door here was transmitted to a devout disciple, meaning this disciple has passed through many tests of faith and different types of tests, to the point where now he's transmitted this Dharma door of contemplating the impurities of the body, okay, the decaying corpse. Of course, I just explained to you earlier about, because when you heard it, people misunderstood. They couldn't understand how it worked. I'm telling you, the way it works is that when you transmit this Dharma door, you apply it to a particular person and you are drawn to. Okay? Some of my disciples didn't have to do this, okay? And they reach fourth stage arhats anyway. Okay, so there's many Dharma doors, but because for this particular Dharma door here, I find it to be slow. The proof is that Gung Te Kai practices, he got to only second stage arhat. That's too slow. Okay, for all the years he put into it, efforts he put into it, he only got to second stage arhat. Okay, that's the second reason why I don't like to transmit it to people. It's like if you're a man or something and so forth, there are better ways to deal with your sexual desires than contemplating this. In Mahayana, we have many more Dharma doors than this. Okay, so going back to his question is that the premise is that he doesn't believe in a Dharma door, he doesn't believe in ending sexual desire, and therefore he asked the question. But it really worked for this guy. Gung Te Kai. That's why. Okay. So it doesn't interest Daniel, the Catholic, because he says, I'm not interested in becoming a second stage. I just want to know. I'm just curious. And the premise is wrong. The premise is for the people who want to get there. He doesn't want to get there. Okay? So it's very difficult to argue with him. Okay? And that's why he doesn't understand the process of transmission of the Dharma. Because he doesn't cultivate. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. Maybe Daniel is thinking that because we are so attached to the body, so we think that we are the body. So if we see the body decomposing, maybe he's thinking that it's the person, but he's not taking in account that we are not this body, that this is just an empty shell that we have.
You haven't done it, that's why you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have that problem. He's talking to, this example is given to the Caucasian disciples of his back then. And what they were into is, I'm a happy man. Okay? And this goes with the sexual desire. Enhances it. So he's telling me about this. Actually, I was reminded of this Dharma door by one of his Caucasian senior disciples who has a huge temper, who has a ton of sexual desires. He eternally life anyway. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master, and thank you, Daniel, for your question, because I did find this provocative the first time we heard Great Master YongHua describe it, and Master, I'm thankful for your explanation. If I may submit a small, humble contribution in the effort to pale-face propagate this concept moving forward in a contemporary way. I appreciated your suggestion of Marilyn Monroe as the person to think about, but to me, maybe Ana de Armas would be a little bit more recent.
Yes. Excuse me. James Bond, I mean, she's magnificent.
She checks the James Bond
Is the word
box.
for it.
She's played Marilyn Monroe now, so I feel like...
I don't particularly like that, but you know.
I agree. I think it's a controversial choice, but...
Yeah, it's just the director is not good, but that her role in that James Bond movie, I said, oh my God.
She's athletic.
You're sublime. Sorry.
And to your
we are
point,
James Bond. You can clear. We are James Bond. What's the word? Fans, fanatics.
Yeah, we have good taste. So, in the spirit
That's
of
art, culture for you. Yeah.
And admittedly, you know, I haven't. Well, to your point, if I imagine Ana de Armas from James Bond as a decaying corpse, it has a visceral effect on me immediately. And while I haven't cultivated that, you know, it's been like maybe 15 minutes since I started mulling this over in my mind. And I see your hand raised, Daniel, so I appreciate this. But I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yes.
As a way to...
It really has a dampening effect immediately. Yes, I know what you're talking about. How disgusting of a suggestion.
my small contribution to pale-face propagation, Master.
If you guys haven't seen her in that James Bond clips, those very short things, she is... what can I say? Yes, Daniel.
Well, I cannot say where did the question come from. Many years ago, there was a music video released by a Buddhist temple. I don't know who released it or what kind of Buddhist temple released the video. It was more like a music video, and it showed a decaying corpse. So I was like, okay, let me try that because I'm afraid of dying. So I contemplated myself basically like a corpse. So I kind of got me more afraid of death. So that's where the question comes from.
Right, okay. See, you didn't quite apply it right. Well, even in your case, now you understand about this decaying corpse thing here. Use your girlfriend. You asked me how do I get rid of the infatuation. Now you know. You have a lot. He's very talkative tonight. Go ahead, Daniel.
I tried that too.
And?
I found it very creepy, so I stopped that.
What?
I found it very creepy, so I stopped that.
Yes, the girlfriend.
Master,
And spy number one.
Really chicken afraid of death and aging. He is so frightened mentioning his birthday or dying. Do we Buddhists have any way to help him resolve this problem, Master?
Not for Catholics. Okay, we stop here tonight. Thank you, everyone.